I'd been with Jackson for 7 years. He said he was tired of me and turned around to chase after someone younger and sweeter. This time, I didn't argue. I threw away the ring and cut up the wedding dress I'd just bought. In the middle of the night, I boarded a flight out of Capital City. His friends started betting on how long it would take before I came crawling back. Jackson gave a cold smile. She'll be begging me within 3 days. But 3 days passed, then another 3. I didn't call, didn't text. Total silence. Jackson couldn't sit still anymore. For the first time, he called me himself. Luna, come on. You've made your point. Come home. But a man's low chuckle came from the other end of the line. Mr. Jackson, you should know, if you want to win a girl back, you don't wait overnight. Someone else might snatch her up while you're hesitating. Jackson's eyes turned bloodshot with rage. He ground his teeth. Put Luna on the phone. Mason leaned down and kissed me gently.
She can't.
She's still unconscious. I'll have to kiss her awake first.
1.
It was our 7th year together. I secretly bought a wedding dress and finally worked up the courage to propose to him. But unfortunately, I was a few minutes late to his party that day, just in time to overhear him chatting with his friends. Luna, he scoffed, got bored of her ages ago. Jackson lit a cigarette, his tone lazy. 7 years. Wouldn't you be sick of it too? The guys all laughed. True. Even the hottest girl gets dull after 7 years. But Luna's still a stunner, though. And her body's perfect. Remember Jackson's birthday? That stepmom-style dress she wore? Every guy there was practically drooling. Seriously though, Jackson, you were obsessed with her back then. You really don't care anymore? Jackson's voice was calm. I've never lied about how I felt. Then if I went after Luna, you wouldn't mind? Go for it, Jackson said, blowing out a smoke ring without a care. As long as it doesn't make things awkward for you. What a clown. You'd pick up Jackson's leftovers. Another burst of laughter. That night, I didn't go into the VIP room. I made up an excuse about a headache and went home early. Jackson didn't even ask a single extra question. Just hung up the phone. That was probably the moment I made up my mind for good. To end it.
2.
A couple days later, the whole social circle was buzzing. Jackson was chasing after a college sophomore, majoring in performing arts. Young, soft-spoken, naive. Jackson always made a scene when he pursued someone. Just like when he chased after me back then, he made sure the whole world knew. Houses, cars, jewelry, he threw them around like party favors. That girl had never seen anything like it. In just a few days, she was completely taken in. At a gathering with mutual friends, Jackson showed up with her in tow. As soon as they walked in, the room went silent. A few girls I was close to looked at me nervously. I smiled. Why so quiet all of a sudden? What are you all staring at me for? Jackson pulled the girl close and finally looked straight at me. Luna, this is a good chance to say it out loud. Go ahead. All this breaking up and making up, it's gotten pointless. There's no real feeling left. I clenched my hands tightly. The ring on my middle finger dug deep into my skin. But somehow, I didn't even feel the pain. Emily's young and pure. I really like her. I don't want to wrong her. Jackson stroked the girl's hair. She deserves a proper relationship. I nodded. Got it. We can still be friends. If you ever need anything while you're in Capital City, I'll still take care of it. There's no need. I smiled faintly and stood up. If we're done, let's make it clean. Don't want your girl getting the wrong idea. Jackson raised an eyebrow in mild surprise, then nodded. Fair enough. Enjoy your night then. I'm heading out. Want my driver to take you? No need. I'll call a cab. As I walked out and gently closed the door behind me, I heard someone inside ask, How long do you think Luna's gonna last this time? 2 days. She actually seems pissed this time. I'll bet a week. Jackson glanced at the half-closed door and gave a cold laugh. She'll come back crying in less than 3 days. It's always like that with her. Honestly, it's getting boring.
Exactly.
Everyone knows she's crazy in love with you, Jackson. I gave a bitter laugh to myself and gripped my purse tighter as I headed for the elevator. 3. When I got home, I went to the back corner of the walk-in closet and pulled out that wedding dress. I'd waited 6 months for it to arrive. Now, I'd never get the chance to wear it. It was custom-made, so I couldn't return it. So I grabbed a pair of scissors and cut it up. No point leaving it there just to be an eyesore for Jackson. Before I left, I took off my ring and placed it on the coffee table. I didn't bring much with me. Just the essentials. The rest? I didn't want any of it. I left him a note. The apartment and everything inside. It's his now. He can do whatever he wants with it. No need to check with me. I booked a red-eye flight to Harbor City. My best friend had gotten married and moved there last year. Perfect excuse to visit and clear my head.
4.
My best friend invited me out for shopping and afternoon tea. That evening there was a small get-together, just some old classmates and friends. A few rounds of drinks in, someone else walked through the door. A couple of the girls immediately lit up. Mason? Wow, what a rare sight. Seriously, big shot. What brings you here tonight? Just had a meeting next door, Mason said casually. Heard some old friends were gathering, figured I'd drop by. As he spoke, his gaze lingered on a certain spot, me, before he slowly looked away. My best friend gave me a quick squeeze. Luna, he's totally here for you. I turned my slightly tipsy eyes toward him. He was a little taller than Jackson, wearing a black overcoat over a dark-toned business suit. His features were sharp, his build lean and strong, and his legs ridiculously long. I squinted at him for a moment, then shook my head. No way. We haven't talked in years. But my friend ignored me and called out, Mason, would you mind giving Luna a ride home later? We've all been drinking, and I wouldn't feel safe letting her take a rideshare. I looked up at Mason, caught off guard. He met my eyes across the room. After about 2 seconds, he nodded. Sure. Thanks. Big shot. My friend grinned, sitting back down. Then she leaned in and whispered, Luna, sleeping with one guy for 7 years is a terrible deal. If Jackson can fool around, why can't you have a fresh start? And come on, someone like Mason? You don't sleep with that kind of man. You're wasting the opportunity. How do you know he even wants to sleep with me? The way he's looking at you, it's like he's already undressing you, babe. Trust me, I've dated 18 guys. I know what I'm talking about. 4 continued. Mason drove me back to the hotel. When we got to the entrance, I unbuckled my seatbelt and said, Thanks for the ride tonight. Mason turned slightly toward me. No need to thank me. I opened the door and was just about to step out when Jackson's words suddenly echoed in my head. Before I could stop myself, I asked, Want to come up for a cup of tea? Mason kissed me in the elevator. I was already tipsy, and with him kissing me so forcefully and possessively, I nearly ran out of breath. There are cameras, I gasped, my cheeks flushed, my legs nearly giving out. I had to cling to his waist just to stay upright. Mason glanced up at the camera, turned his back to it, adjusted his angle, and kissed me again. When we got to the room, and I was about to unlock the door, he stopped me. Luna, if you regret this now, I can still walk away. Regret what? I looked up at him, tugged on his tie, and pulled him closer. You've already kissed me like your life depends on it. Now you want to walk away? Mason laughed unexpectedly. He reached out, brushing a thumb gently over my swollen lips. Well, even if you regret it later, it's too late now. We didn't even make it to the bedroom for our first time. My back scraped against the wall. It hurt a little, and I couldn't help but bite him while whining. Mason, are you a beast or something? Do you not know how to be gentle? His hot palm supported my back as he thrust into me with fierce intensity. Then, panting, he kissed along my neck and muttered, Luna, I don't think I can hold back.
5.
5 minutes later, I finally understood what he meant. Mason carried me to the bedroom. I buried my face in the pillow and couldn't stop laughing. Mason, when's the last time you were with a woman? He looked at me with a straight face.
Been a while.
I've been busy with work these past few years. I stared at him in surprise, the laughter slowly fading. After a moment, tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. I'm sorry, Mason, I messed you up. Luna, what are you talking about? Maybe it was because I cried. Mason started to panic. He clumsily tried to wipe away my tears, but they just kept falling. I shouldn't have dragged you into this. Well, too late now. He leaned down, cupped my face in his hands, and looked at me seriously. Luna, since you dragged me in, don't stop halfway. 6. 7 days into my stay in Harbor City, Ryan from back in Capital City suddenly messaged me, Luna, when are you coming back? Not planning to return anytime soon. Everyone really misses you. Zach's birthday is coming up. Come back for the party. I'll pass. Just help me tell him I'll send a gift. All right, just take care of yourself. Back in Capital City, Ryan handed his phone to Jackson. Jackson, maybe you should call Luna. She'd definitely listen to you. Jackson stared coldly at the messages on the screen. Then he crushed out his cigarette and stood up. Let her stay gone. Wouldn't mind if she died out there. Come on, man. Don't get so worked up. She's probably just really upset. Yeah, she even took off the ring this time. Looks like she's genuinely heartbroken. You did kind of go overboard with that girl. She's the one who wanted a breakup. What the hell else does she want? Jackson suddenly snapped. Listen up, no one is to contact her again. I don't care if she dies. Just leave her alone. All right, no one's calling her.
Calm down.
You just got out of the hospital for stomach bleeding from drinking too much. Honestly, the only time you didn't get sick was when Luna was around. She's been gone less than a week, and you're already wrecking yourself. With each word from his friends, Jackson's expression darkened. In the end, he grabbed his coat and stormed out. Cold wind hit his face the second he stepped outside, but it still couldn't blow out the fire burning in his chest. That damn woman really had guts. 7 days and not a single call or text. Is she seriously playing this game? Jackson's face was ice cold as he blocked Luna's number. You better not come crawling back to me. Because this time, I won't be the one softening like before.
7.
Mason called just as I typed the last line and clicked on format. I started writing magazine columns back in college and made a small name for myself. So after graduation, I went full-time with it. Thanks to a bit of talent, the income's been decent. The work's flexible. I can take my laptop and go anywhere I want. So after the breakup, there was no need to stay in Capital City, drowning in memories. What do you want for dinner, Luna? Mason's voice came through clear, instantly soothing away the exhaustion from a long afternoon. My brain cells are basically dead. I'm exhausted. You decide. How about hot pot? I know a place with amazing pork brains, you'd love it. I always used to order pork brains at Hot Pot. But later, Jackson said it looked disgusting, so I stopped. Though I vaguely remember, Mason always preferred light food. Mason, you don't have to cater to me. I'm not picky anymore. I actually suddenly really want some too. Remember in college, the second cafeteria had that Malatang place? Their pork brains were so tender and fresh. Hearing him bring that up made me crave it too. That place really was good. I ate there for 4 years and never got tired of it. All right then, hot pot it is. I'll come pick you up now. Okay. Mason took me to a Chongqing-style hot pot restaurant that had been open for years in Hong Kong. The place was old, not very big, but always packed. Mason, in his crisp suit, looked completely out of place in this setting. I watched him carefully wipe down my chair with a tissue, then skillfully rinse our utensils with hot water and pour me some juice. A rich boy like him doing all these small, mundane things, yet he looked like he'd done it countless times. Mason, your ex really trained you well. I couldn't help but comment. Not like me. 7 years of on and off with Jackson. The only time I ever felt pampered was in the beginning, when he first chased after me. Later, when we moved in together after college, I practically turned into a housewife. Jackson had stomach problems, so I learned how to cook and make soup. Took care of everything like a dutiful little wife. But now I finally understand. I loved him so much I lost myself. I even forgot the simple truth that to love someone, you have to love yourself first. How could I expect his love to never fade? As Mason dipped vegetables into the broth, he glanced up at me. Where'd you hear that I had an ex?
8.
I blinked. Didn't you always have that girl hanging around in college? I thought you two grew up together. You mean Zoe? Mason chuckled. Yeah, we did grow up together. But we never dated. I don't like her that way. She's more like a sister. Oh, so you've never dated anyone all these years? He calmly rolled up his shirt sleeves. I went on a few blind dates.
Talked to some girls.
Didn't work out, so that was that. I see. And nothing after that? I lowered my gaze, thinking back to that night. The way he acted made his story pretty believable. Luna, I won't do that again. Mason suddenly said, catching me off guard. Do what again? He turned his head and coughed lightly. Maybe it was the steam rising from the boiling hot pot, but his ears turned bright red. You'll find out soon. He scooped up some pork brain and placed it in my bowl.
Here, eat.
It wasn't until he walked me back to the hotel, until after I'd showered, and he carried me from the bathroom to the bed, that I finally understood what he meant earlier. But by then, my body felt like it was falling apart. The hair around my temples was soaked with sweat over and over. Even my fingertips were trembling. But Mason still wasn't done. Mason, I glared at him, but my eyes were misty with tears, making me look even more alluring. Even my voice, calling his name, was tinged with a sulky softness, not at all like someone truly angry. Mason lowered his head and kissed me gently. Luna, does it feel good? I shook my head, refusing to answer. He didn't get upset, just slowed down. His movements turned gentle and tormentingly tender. It wore me down until I couldn't take it anymore, tears streaming from the corners of my eyes. Mason, my nails scratched across his lower back, and my voice cracked into sobs. Luna, tell me now. Does it feel good? Mason's eyes were bloodshot from holding back. His arm muscles were taut, sweat dripping from his forehead. That sensation of being just shy of the peak, again and again. It drove me to tears. It feels good. His burning hot palm gripped my waist tightly. Each thrust came with relentless force, shaking my cries into fragments. And just before I lost all sense of reality, Mason whispered low in my ear, Luna, now that it feels good, don't ever leave me, okay?
10.
The night of Zach's birthday, the gift I bought in Harbor City was delivered to him by a friend. Jackson sat on the sofa, smoking, with more than half a bottle of liquor already gone. The gift, chosen by Mason and me together, was a pair of antique cufflinks from one of Zach's favorite luxury brands. These are really delicate. Zach forced a smile, glancing nervously at Jackson and motioning for his girlfriend to put them away quickly. Bring them here. Jackson suddenly spoke. Zach froze, but didn't dare question him. He handed the box over quickly. Jackson stared at the pair of cufflinks. The logo was subtle and understated, but Jackson kept staring at them for a long while. Put it away, he said, closing the box and pushing it aside. Zach let out a breath of relief and reached for the box, when Jackson suddenly grabbed the empty bottle on the table and smashed it hard against the coffee table. Glass flew everywhere, and a long gash appeared on the back of his hand. The room instantly descended into chaos. What happened? Why is he so pissed all of a sudden? That's a bad cut. It won't stop bleeding. We should get to a hospital. Jackson stood there unmoving, his face dark and filled with rage. Luna's never bought anything from this brand. His voice was low, hoarse, and filled with a kind of bleakness. Zach quickly tried to smooth things over with a laugh. It's no big deal. Maybe Luna just picked something random. Not like when it was your birthday. Luna started planning gifts 6 months ahead.
Exactly.
Jackson, you know how much Luna cared about you. The rest of US combined didn't matter a tenth as much. Everyone knew how deeply she treasured you. But Jackson just let out a cold laugh. Cared about me? The noisy room suddenly quieted, bit by bit. Jackson, maybe I should call Luna? Or at least take care of your hand first. Zach suddenly summoned his courage and took a photo of Jackson's bloodied hand. Then he sent it straight to Luna on WeChat. Jackson didn't stop him. Maybe because Zach moved too fast for him to react in time. 11. The room suddenly went silent. After about 10 seconds, Zach's phone suddenly rang. I told you Luna cares about you a lot, Jackson, look, it's Luna calling, Zach said gleefully. And everyone noticed that Jackson's face, which had been full of hostility, seemed to have softened a little. Jackson, are you going to pick up? Zach handed the phone over, but Jackson didn't even glance at it and turned his face away. Zach, eager to take the call, grinned and said, I'll get it, hee hee. He purposely switched it to speaker mode, and when Luna's voice came through, Jackson's lips instantly tightened. Zach, what's going on? Are you hurt? No, it's not me. It's Jackson's hand. You wouldn't believe how bad it is. The blood won't stop, it's pouring out. Zach rambled on for a while, but on the other end of the phone, there was nothing but silence. Luna, are you listening? Maybe you should come back. Jackson won't go to the hospital, and the bleeding won't stop. Zach. Luna's voice was still as gentle and sweet as ever. Hey, what did you say, Luna? I'm listening. Zach responded, and at the same time, he shot Jackson a look. From now on, don't tell me anything about him. Zach's smile instantly faltered. Luna? Also, happy birthday, Zach. Luna, don't hang up, Luna. But the sound of the call disconnecting was already very clear. Zach stood frozen, holding the phone like it was a hot potato. He really wished he could slap himself into unconsciousness. Why did he have to get involved in this? What trouble had he caused? The room was silent. Jackson, however, calmly looked at everyone and smiled. What's the matter? Everyone's turned mute. No one dared to speak. Jackson laughed again. Why's no one talking? Jackson, don't get mad. Your hand's bleeding even more. Jackson, you know Luna's temper better than anyone. Wendy, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, suddenly spoke up. Actually, I've wanted to say this for a while. The things you've done before were really hurtful. Luna is a girl, and girls care about their pride the most. Even if you don't like her anymore, you should part on good terms. Who says I have to part on good terms with her? Jackson smiled mockingly and coldly. She's been with me for 7 years. Even if I kept a dog, it would have been trained by now. Wendy smiled softly. But have you thought about it? How many 7 years does a girl have? What if Luna never comes back? It's impossible. No one noticed, but there was a slight tremor in Jackson's voice. What's impossible in this world? When a heart is hurt, frozen over, how hard is it to warm it again? Jackson, don't do something you'll regret. After Wendy finished speaking, she didn't stay any longer. She grabbed her bag and stood up to leave. Calvin, sitting not far away, looked at her with a vague expression. His wife, who had been married for 2 years. Was she feeling sorry for Luna, standing up for her, or was she reminded of their own troubled marriage, blaming him for not being a good husband? Calvin, aren't you going to see your wife off? Calvin smirked, lighting a cigarette. Who's your sister-in-law? Your sister-in-law's filming right now. She won't be out of the set until next month. Just keep acting like that. His friend shook his head helplessly. Calvin didn't respond. Wendy and Luna were different. Luna didn't have any family burdens, and she could earn her own money. If they broke up, her life quality would only decline a bit. But Wendy had a family and an older brother who was bedridden. She couldn't leave him. Even if she had 10 times the courage, she still wouldn't dare.
12.
As soon as I hung up the phone, Mason wrapped his arms around me from behind. He rested his chin on my neck and gently nuzzled it, but didn't say anything. I couldn't help but laugh. What's wrong? Luna, will you go back? Go back where? Back to Capital City. I don't plan on going back for now, but maybe in the future. After all, I haven't done anything shameful, so why can't I go back? My family's still there. Mason went silent again. It was then I figured out the implied meaning of his words. Are you asking if I'll get back together with Jackson? Will you? I can say I definitely won't. Do you believe me? Mason lowered his eyes, his high nose gently brushing my cheek. I want to believe you. Mason, I have my own dignity and self-respect. Then, do you still have feelings for him? I thought carefully for a moment. If I said I didn't have any feelings left, that wouldn't be realistic after all. It's been so many years. Mason suddenly bit me lightly. Don't say that, Luna. Let me finish. But to say that I still have some lingering feelings like reluctance or unwillingness, I don't think so. I lightly touched Mason's face. I wasn't really upset when I broke up with him. Maybe I stopped loving him a long time ago. Maybe, when he started becoming absent in this relationship, I was already mentally prepared for the breakup. I won't. Huh. I won't be absent. I won't be fickle. I won't make you cry or hurt you. Mason hugged me tighter and tighter, and in the end, he kissed me. Luna, be with me.
13.
But I didn't return his kiss. In the end, I gently pushed him away. Mason, I'm sorry. Why are you saying sorry? He looked down at me, his eyes a little red. It's my problem. I avoided his gaze. I don't want to talk about relationships anymore. Then what are we between us these past few days? Mason grasped my shoulder, his voice trembling. Luna, what do you see me as? I clenched my fists tightly, taking a deep breath. Let's just say we're both getting what we need. If you're willing, we can keep this kind of relationship. If you meet someone you like, it can end anytime. What kind of relationship? Just a tool to fulfill physical needs. You can think of it that way. I refused to look up at him, afraid I'd break down in tears. Mason, I'm really sorry. If this arrangement makes you uncomfortable, I'll leave Hong Kong right now. I swear I'll never disturb you again. Luna. Mason's eyes turned red. He let go of me and slowly took a step back. He seemed to be smiling, but it was a broken smile. Luna, you can't treat me like this. Mason. He turned and grabbed his coat, walking out. I instinctively took a step after him, but then stopped. Mason walked all the way to the door, but when his hand touched the handle, he suddenly turned around to look at me. He even gave me a reassuring smile. Sorry, I just want to be alone for a while. I nodded. Okay, I won't disturb you. Luna, give me some time. Wait for my answer. Mason left. I felt utterly exhausted, slowly sinking into the couch. There was a discomfort in my heart, but at the same time, I became more aware that I wasn't ready. I couldn't give myself completely, wholeheartedly, to love someone again. I was scared. Scared that in the end, we'd end up despising each other. I feared that the gaze directed at me would turn from passionate to indifferent, then to cold disdain. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. But I shouldn't have involved Mason. If I had known from the beginning that he liked me, then that night, I would never have let him take me back to the hotel.
14.
It was already 3 a.m. when Mason drove back to the hotel where Luna was staying. He got out of the car but didn't go inside. Instead, he leaned against the car and lit a cigarette. Countless windows were still lit, but he couldn't tell which one was Luna's. But knowing she was here, knowing she was in the same city as him, he knew that if he walked in 10 minutes, he could see her. It felt like a moment of joy, of fulfillment. He realized in less than 2 days that he had come to terms with everything. It was so easy to calm himself down. Luna had just ended a relationship. It was normal for her not to want to talk about love again. She was disappointed and resistant to men, love, and even marriage. That was completely normal. Maybe he had been too hasty and shouldn't have pushed her like that. If she felt that maintaining this kind of relationship made her feel lighter and more comfortable, he didn't mind not having a label. What was more painful than loving someone and not being able to have them? If there was something worse, it was probably 1.5 years ago, when he found out that Luna had moved in with Jackson. That was when he really decided to let go. That was why he had tried blind dates and meeting new people trying to move on. But after trying, he realized it wasn't working, so he ended it decisively. Since then, no matter how much his family urged him, he hadn't thought about it again. If Luna hadn't broken up and come to Hong Kong, if that night she hadn't asked him to come up, maybe he would have lived his whole life alone. Mason stubbed out his cigarette, his gaze growing calm and determined. But Luna came to Hong Kong, and that night she spoke. If the woman he loved came into his life and he still lost her, then Mason, you would have no right to the happiness you want.
15.
The night before I was about to leave Hong Kong, I went out for drinks with my best friend. How's it going with Mason? She looked me up and down. Tisk, TSK, look at you. All glowy and your skin's so smooth. It's obvious Mason's been treating you well. I shouldn't keep him hanging. I don't want a relationship, and I don't want to get married. Luna, why punish yourself for someone else's mistakes? Besides, it's not fair to Mason either. People say, the former plants the tree, the latter enjoys the shade. I agree with that, but there's no reason for the ex to cause harm to the present partner. Jackson may be a jerk, but Mason is a good man worth trusting. Why hold a grudge against Mason because of Jackson? I don't have a grudge against him. I just haven't moved on from Jackson yet. You haven't moved on from Jackson. You've been emotionally manipulated by that bastard for 7 years, and now you think you don't deserve true love and happiness. I froze upon hearing this.
Was that it?
Was it because the pain and confusion of constant breakups and reconciliations had left me so insecure? So paranoid that I questioned everyone and everything? I had convinced myself that I wouldn't receive a sincere, devoted love. But why couldn't I get true love? Those who wrong true hearts will be punished. But those who have loved earnestly will find a new path open for them by heaven. Baby, don't you know how amazing you are? My friend hugged me gently and swayed me back and forth. You're so beautiful, with such a perfect figure, able to support yourself during college, and even take care of me. You're smart, capable, and kind. If I were a man, I'd marry you even if I had to die for it. You deserve to be loved, Luna. You deserve to be cherished by the best man. And not waste your time on a man like Jackson. Trust me, baby, he will regret it. For the rest of his life, he won't ever get over losing you. Right now, call Mason. And cancel your flight. Don't think I don't know you're trying to run away. I looked at my friend, my eyes growing warm and damp. But Ivy, do you think Mason and I will end up the same way?
No.
Why? Because I believe a man with enough self-control, someone who doesn't settle, will never be foolish enough to lose the girl he loves. Do you think he's like Jackson, that pig? I shook my head. He was definitely not like Jackson. So, call him now, baby. You have no idea how happy he'll be.
16.
I thought Mason would be happy, but I never imagined that a man in his late 20s, the president of a successful family business, would be so overjoyed when he received my call. He was like a child in that moment. My best friend smiled as she watched me. Luna, are you happy? I nodded. I guess. I am happy. You see, you're happy, and Mason's even happier. So, isn't that settled? At this point, my best friend couldn't help but laugh. I can't stop smiling thinking about how unhappy Jackson will be in the future. Not necessarily. He might already have someone new by his side. I smiled faintly. Ivy, let's not talk about him anymore. In that moment, I could say those words with no emotional turmoil. It felt like that person was truly no longer relevant to my life. When Mason's car arrived downstairs, I was just coming out of the bar. He stood in the night wind, arms open to me. I stopped and looked at him. Honestly, he was quite handsome. Every feature was to my taste. Men can like countless women at once, with no breakup and no remorse, juggling 2 relationships seamlessly. If that's the case, then it's no problem for me to start a new relationship after a breakup. I walked toward him, and he strode toward me. Among the bustling crowd, Mason and I kissed as if no one was around. His heart was racing. I could feel the heat on the back of his neck. Mason, do you have a fever? I asked. His forehead rested against mine, his breath shallow, voice low. Luna, I don't know what's happening, but when I'm with you, it feels like this. I laughed softly, standing on my toes to kiss his chin. Maybe we just need to do this more? Mason's ears turned redder and hotter. He cupped my face, his gaze intense. Luna, what am I to you right now? I teased him. What do you think? Just a hookup or a boyfriend? He asked, but didn't wait for an answer. Instead, he buried his face in my neck, whispering, Forget it. You don't have to answer. I don't want to know right now. My hands gently wrapped around his waist, pulling him closer to me. Really don't want to know? Boyfriend. 17. Jackson's car stopped in an alley. He got out and walked deeper into the alley. At the end of the alley was an old tailor whose ancestors had been weavers. Now that he was elderly, he had long since stopped taking customers. But Jackson had his ways of persuading this elderly craftsman. The wedding dress Luna had ruined was brought to the old man half a month ago. Today, it was almost fully restored. As he walked, Jackson thought about what Zach had said a few days ago. Girls always dream of wearing a wedding dress and marrying the one they love. He and Luna had been together for 7 years, yet he never once thought about proposing to her. He hadn't even imagined that Luna might have had the thought of proposing to him. In recent days, he realized he had been acting foolishly. But those women were just fleeting distractions, nothing serious. Even Emily, who caused Luna to break up and leave, only entertained him for a few days. After that, he grew bored with her, always thinking of Luna. After 7 years of companionship, Jackson had indeed become weary and tired of the relationship. But some people, just like colorless and tasteless air, are only missed when they're gone. During the days Luna wasn't around, he couldn't find any interest in anything. Even when he hung out with friends, his mind was consumed by thoughts of her. Especially when he drank too much. If Luna had been there, she would have pretended to be angry and stopped him. If she couldn't stop him, she'd make him soup late at night, letting him rest his head on her lap while she massaged his temples. Her fingers were soft, and though her little complaints and caring words used to annoy him, he now longed for them deeply. Jackson decided that when Luna came back, he would propose to her. He had known for a long time just how much Luna wanted to marry him. Giving her marriage would calm her, and she would forgive him. 18. The tailor's skills were exceptional. The wedding dress was restored to nearly its original state. After paying, Jackson was about to leave when his phone suddenly rang. He felt inexplicably nervous until he saw Zach's name on the screen. His heart, which had been pounding wildly, slowly calmed down. "Jackson, I've been thinking about something, and I think I should tell you." "What is it?" Don't rush to react. This might just be a rumor someone made up. "What is it?" "It's about Luna, or maybe not. I think it's just a rumor." "Zach, when did you become so melodramatic? What's going on with Luna? Is she back in Capital City?" "Jackson." Zach sounded unusually uncomfortable. He couldn't understand why it had come to this. Of all people, why did the rumor have to be about Mason? Jackson had always had a tense relationship with him. 2 years ago, during a major project, Jackson's company and Mason's Chongqing group had clashed fiercely. In the end, Mason had won, and Jackson was left defeated. That was the first time he had tasted defeat. From that moment, their already strained relationship became hostile. "I'm telling you this, but please don't get mad. This is just what I've heard. No proof yet." Someone saw Luna in Hong Kong. Jackson's grip on the phone tightened, but his voice remained calm. "What happened in Hong Kong?" "She seems to be with Mason." "Of course, it could just be a casual meal. Nothing else." "I see." "Jackson, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." Jackson ended the call. He held the large paper bag containing the wedding dress Luna had bought, walking slowly in the chilly Capital City winter wind. He walked to the alley entrance near his car. Suddenly, Jackson stopped. A faint, mocking smile appeared on his handsome face. The next moment, he threw the exquisite paper bag into the trash can without hesitation. 19. 2 months after Luna left, Jackson sent her a WeChat message. The message was successfully sent, but it sank like a stone in the sea. The message was, "I'm thinking of selling the apartment. How should I handle your clothes?" Perhaps he forgot that Luna had left him a note, asking him to deal with everything in the apartment as he saw fit. Or maybe he did it on purpose, just to find a reason to send her a message. What Jackson might have been thinking was that this was a step he was offering to Luna. If she were smart, she would know to take it. His temper seemed bad, but he was actually easy to coax. Luna never replied. Naturally, the apartment wasn't sold. Luna's clothes and all her belongings remained as they were. It was as if she had never left. Jackson would always come here late at night after social events. Then, He would lie on Luna's bed, staying awake until the early hours. In the third month after Luna left, things remained unchanged. In the dead of night, when the hour hand was almost pointing to 12, Jackson dialed Luna's phone number.
20.
Luna was a very conservative and obedient girl. Her family wasn't rich, but they were well off enough, and her parents loved her very much. But because she had always been beautiful since she was young, her elders were very strict with her. It wasn't until the autumn of her college graduation year that Luna started living with him.
He still remembered that night.
She was so nervous that her whole body was trembling. Her skin was flushed red with heat. She was stunningly beautiful, and under him, she seemed as fragile as if she could shatter, evoking his deepest tenderness. When everything was over, she cried very hard, repeatedly telling him, "Jackson, you can't bully me. You can't bully me in the future. You have to be good to me. You have to marry me. Jackson, we will always be together, right?" But that innocent girl, who once believed she would always be with the man she loved, had been lost to him for a long time. So long, in fact, that he couldn't even remember what her expression had been the last time they broke up. Had she smiled and nodded, or had her eyes reddened and tears fallen? The phone rang for a while, and just as he thought she wouldn't answer, the call went through. At that moment, he actually wanted to say, "Luna, come back." But when he opened his mouth, what came out was, "Luna, if you're done causing trouble, come back." His foolish and laughable words were interrupted by a man's soft laugh. That laugh felt like a cold, hard block of ice crashing down on him. And Jackson felt as if his whole body was frozen, unable to move. "Mr. Jackson, when wooing a girl, you can't wait overnight, or someone else might snatch her away." "Mason." Jackson's eyes turned bloodshot as he gritted his teeth and spoke the name. "It's me, Mason. Where's Luna? Let her answer the phone." Jackson's eyes seemed to be filled with blood, red to the point of being terrifying. He gripped the phone tightly, his voice shaking as he growled, "Mason, if you dare take advantage of this situation, she can't answer." Mason lowered his head and gently kissed his girl. A tear was still hanging on Luna's eyelashes, her lips pouting. Though her eyes were closed, her face was filled with grievance. His heart softened uncontrollably, and he kissed her eyelash, sucking the tear away. "She's still unconscious, mad at me. I need to wake her up with a kiss." "Mason," Jackson's voice trailed off. Mason hung up the phone and switched off his mobile. His kiss fell on Luna's slightly swollen lips. "Baby, wake up." 21. I actually thought about what it would be like to meet Jackson again. He came from a good family, full of pride deep down. Our breakup had been peaceful, so if we ran into each other one day, he would either pretend not to see me, or we could exchange polite greetings. After all, my family and relatives are all in Capital City, and Jackson and I share some mutual friends. It's impossible to live a lifetime without any kind of interaction. But I never imagined that such a high and mighty young man, always admired by others, would have such an ungraceful and sloppy moment. That day, I was in a particularly good mood because I had slept well, wearing my newly bought nude pink cashmere dress and a beautiful makeup. I looked like a full and sweet peach. I linked my arm with Mason's and walked out of the revolving door, chatting and laughing. Then I saw Jackson getting out of a car. I froze for a moment and my steps stopped. Mason's warm fingers gently grasped mine. Jackson's shirt was a little wrinkled, and he wasn't wearing a tie. He looked weary, with deep furrows on his brows, his eyes bloodshot. People were bustling around us, and the music fountain nearby was playing cheerful tunes. The scene felt like a slow-motion shot from a movie. But I wasn't a spectator. I was one of the startled protagonists. Maybe it was how unexpected Jackson looked at that moment. Mason instinctively shielded me behind him. But Jackson's expression remained calm. He, like when we were in love, gently called my name. "Luna." I stood still, not moving. The music was still echoing cheerfully in my ears. But for some reason, my heart felt inexplicably sad. Maybe it was because of Luna, who heard those unbearable words that night. Maybe it was because of Luna, who was suddenly told to break up. Or maybe it was because of the foolish Luna, who loved for 7 years, but was able to let go in just 7 days. Luna, I came to take you back to Capital City. Jackson didn't look at Mason at all. His gaze fell on my face, and it was so gentle. I almost couldn't remember the last time he looked at me with such tenderness before we broke up. Jackson stopped about a meter away from me. Luna, let's go back and get married. Let's live a good life together, okay? He said it so earnestly that I almost believed it. But the Jackson, who had just said he would give another girl a title, was just a figment of my imagination.
But it was too late, Jackson.
A broken heart can never be repaired. And the new heart that grew in the swamp already had someone else in it. 22. I gently shook my head. Jackson, you should go. Luna, I never touched Emily. I broke up with her in less than 3 days. The wedding dress you bought, I've already had it repaired by an experienced craftsman. And our matching rings, I've kept them safe. Luna, I even custom-made an engagement ring. I'm serious. Jackson's eyes were becoming increasingly red, and his voice was trembling slightly. He held up the delicate ring box, offering it to me like a treasure, his eyes full of longing and hope, yet careful. I looked at him like this and couldn't deny that I still felt a pang of pain. But it was only that pain. Jackson, I already have a boyfriend. I tightly grasped Mason's hand, moving from behind him to stand by his side. The color drained from Jackson's face, as if in an instant. His gaze slowly slid downward, finally landing on the fingers where Mason and I held hands. On our middle fingers, we wore matching rings, just like I did with him before. Luna, are you serious? I took a deep breath, looked at Mason, then nodded firmly. Yes, I'm serious. Jackson suddenly let out a low, bitter laugh. You think he's serious about you? You think he has any real feelings for you? 2 years ago, he fought with me over a project to the point of no return. And now he's pursuing you. Luna, do you think there's no selfishness involved here? Does he dare to say honestly that his pursuit of you has nothing to do with trying to beat me, Jackson? Luna, you're still so naive. The world is full of darkness, and so are men. You've been with me for 7 years, and so much has happened between us. Do you think Mason really won't care? And do you think he'll really end up with you getting old together? Don't you fear that being with him will just lead to another 7 years like mine with you?
23.
The cheerful music had stopped at some point. Jackson's voice had also quieted. I first heard a deep silence in my ears. Then I heard a faint sound of something shattering. But after that sound came an overwhelming sense of relief and release. Look, even the last bit of sadness had faded. It's just a pity. Why do people always have things they regret in life? Before today, I never regretted loving Jackson. Good or bad, it was my experience after all. But in this moment, I couldn't help but regret. Why did I not realize after 7 years that Jackson never truly saw me? Mason, with eyes full of tenderness, pulled me into his arms. My face was pale, but I still smiled at him, shaking my head. I'm fine, Mason. Be good. Go to the car first. I'll take care of this. I want to stay with you. I gripped his hand, unwilling to let go. Mason gazed at me quietly for a while, then suddenly leaned down and kissed me forcefully. Luna, Mason, always act with a clear conscience, never regretting anything. But at this moment, I really regret not taking you away from him back then. What right do you have to compete with me? What kind of man are you, taking advantage of someone's vulnerability, Mason? Jackson, you're not worthy of the 7 years Luna spent loving you. Maybe those words finally pushed Jackson over the edge. He had never lost his composure like this, and his words became reckless. What about you, Mason? You're taking a woman who's been with me for 7 years. How can you stand in front of me and talk so arrogantly? What do you like about her? Do you genuinely like Luna, or do you just want Jackson's woman?
24.
Mason threw a powerful punch at Jackson's face. And Jackson was not one to back down either. They quickly exchanged blows, and soon both their faces and bodies were covered in bruises. Security finally arrived and managed to separate them. Yet, both men still glared at each other with anger, unwilling to take a step back. Can it stop now? I was both furious and anxious, my voice tinged with tears. Jackson's face turned ashen. Luna, you saw. Mason was the one who started it. This isn't over between me and him. Yes, he started it first. Jackson, I'll have him apologize to you. Whatever you want to do next, we'll cooperate. Luna, he started it with his rude words. Mason was suddenly flustered. I gently pressed Mason's hand and calmly spoke again. Jackson, I'll apologize on Mason's behalf. Luna, you're really protecting him? Jackson took a slow step forward. He started it with me, Luna. So, what do you want to do about it? Luna, I'm injured. Jackson pointed to his face. Do you see the wound here? It really hurts. I glanced at him and calmly replied, then I'll call an ambulance. We'll cover all the expenses. Luna, you know I don't want that. Jackson tried to pull me, but I quickly dodged. Luna, the hard emotions on Jackson's face shattered. His gaze was filled with sorrow. But in my heart, there was truly no more ripple. Mason suddenly winced in pain. Luna, do you think I'm going to be disfigured? I quickly turned around. The man in front of me had a cut on his lip, his eyes swollen, and blood on his chin. He looked quite terrifying. I grabbed some tissue to wipe him off. It hurts. Luna, be gentle. Mason exaggeratedly bared his teeth. Good for you. I muttered under my breath, but still softened my touch in concern. You need stitches. Then you're coming with me. I'm afraid of needles. I couldn't help but glare at him, but nodded in agreement. Mason then wrapped his arms around me. I still want you to kiss me here. It hurts so much. I slowly stood on tiptoe and gently placed a kiss on his injured lips.
25.
Jackson didn't say anything else. The sunset quietly stretched his figure. Maybe it was at the moment when Luna was wiping the blood off Mason's face, or when she was soothing him with a kiss. It was then that he finally realized Luna truly no longer loved him. Wendy's question that day had become reality. Luna would never return to his side. He thought he could easily let go of 7 years of emotions. He thought he was the one in control of the relationship. He thought he would always have the upper hand. But at that moment he understood. The one who couldn't let go was him, Jackson. Luna was like the string that held the kite. When the string breaks, the kite loses its direction and can never return home. 26. I watched Jackson turn and walk toward the car, his lonely figure disappearing. The sun at dusk was suddenly swallowed by the horizon. The sky turned into a faint rose blue. Jackson's car gradually faded into the distance. And I seemed to see the 7 years of time from Luna's 17 to 24 years. With the car's roar fading away, it was gone without a trace. I knew from this day on, the name Jackson would be just like any other ordinary name in this world. I wouldn't deliberately forget it, but I would never again think of it voluntarily. Luna. Mason gently embraced me. I turned back, looked up at him, and smiled faintly. Let's go. We need to go to the hospital. 27. The night Mason proposed, he drank a lot and held me, saying many, many things. But the only ones I remembered were those simplest 2 sentences. Luna, we will never have those 7 years. Luna, we will never break up. Everyone believes what they say at the moment of a vow. But later, when breaking those vows, it feels impossible that anyone would ever believe in such promises. But I wanted to believe in Mason. Actually, I wanted to believe in myself. I wanted to believe I deserved to be loved, and that true love would eventually not be wasted. On the day Mason and I got engaged, I received a gift sent from Capital City. It was the wedding dress I had once bought. Jackson had found a craftsman to fix it. In the box was also a card. The handwriting was Jackson's. He wrote, Luna, I will always wait for you. Mason was by my side and saw the card too. He smiled confidently and kissed me on the face. Too bad, I won't give him a chance. But that night, the wedding dress disappeared without a trace. And by then, I no longer cared about such insignificant things.
28.
3 years after Mason and I got married, we had our daughter Nora. Not long after our daughter was born, Jackson sent many expensive gifts. I asked Mason for his opinion. He was still confident, but not very gracious. Our daughter doesn't lack these things. Let's donate them to the welfare house. TCH, look at him. He's old enough and still not married, always staring at other people's wives and children. He's just asking for trouble. I couldn't help but smile. Why worry about other people's business? Mason, for some reason, became happy. In front of the house full of servants and nannies, he suddenly picked me up and spun around. Luna, the way you just said that sounds great. Say it again, okay?
What?
Hey, put me down first. I'm getting dizzy. But Mason didn't let go, sitting down and holding me in his arms, kissing me again and again. It's the sentence from just now. Why worry about other people's business? I found it funny, but also felt a kind of unspeakable tenderness. My best friend had once secretly told me that Mason had gone through the worst 2 years of his life during my 2 years after graduation. But after we got together, he never once mentioned it to me. He never showed any negative emotions in front of me. Why worry about other people's business? The most important thing is that we live our own lives well. After saying this, he raised his hand and hooked his neck. I kissed his slightly red ear and whispered softly in his ear, "Honey, our daughter is 2 months old now. Let's go to bed early tonight." Extra. When Luna's daughter was 3 years old, they returned to Capital City to visit family and stayed for a few months. I knew many of her mutual friends, and they gathered almost every day. I naturally didn't participate, but after each gathering, I couldn't help but ask about her. They said Luna had gone to Paris to study for 2 years after marriage. During those 2 years, Mason tirelessly traveled between Harbor City and Paris, never complaining. Later, Luna returned to Hong Kong to start her own magazine and became the editor-in-chief. Mason unconditionally supported all her decisions and choices. The only thing he wasn't happy about was her always working overtime. She could have been a privileged housewife, but she didn't. She grew more and more beautiful, but she was more than just beautiful. Her relationship with Mason grew better and better. Their daughter was incredibly beautiful, just like Luna when she was young. In fact, I never told her that I still kept a picture of her when she was 5 in my wallet. Capital City was so big, yet our circles were so small. But Luna and I never ran into each other. Until one day, at noon, I accidentally saw their daughter Nora in a buffet restaurant. She was hiding behind a fake mountain, secretly eating a box of ice cream. Like a cute little squirrel, her cheeks were puffed up. I stopped in my tracks, unable to take my eyes off her. After a while, I heard Luna call her name. She heard it too and froze, wide-eyed, clutching the ice cream box, unsure of what to do. On impulse, I walked over, crouched down, and softly asked her, "Are you afraid your mom will find out you're sneaking ice cream?" She nodded, her big eyes spinning, very clever. "Uncle, will you help me hide?" She hesitated a bit, looked at me for a long time. As if confirming I wasn't a bad person, she nodded again. I picked her up. She was so small, soft and sweet, nestled in my arms. Her little hands played with the buttons on my suit. She suddenly spoke in her childish voice. "Uncle, do you know me?" My throat seemed to close, and everything in front of me became blurry. If time could go back to that year, that night, I wouldn't let it all happen. Luna would be my wife. We would get married in Capital City, have children. She wouldn't be called Nora. She would be my and Luna's daughter. I lifted my face, held back the tears, and smiled down at her. "Yes, Uncle knows you. Do you know my name?" She softly hugged me. "I'll tell you secretly, my name is Nora. It's because Daddy Mason and Mommy Luna kissed that we have me." "Really? That's a nice name." I kissed her soft little cheek. "All right, we can't hide for too long, or Mom will be worried." She obediently nodded. "I'll eat one more bite of ice cream. Just one bite." She took a big bite and smiled mischievously at me like a little cat. I patted her head. "Go find your mom now." I watched her walk away. Her princess dress bloomed like a flower, opening far in Luna's arms. I didn't look at Luna again. I was afraid I might cry in the bustling hall. Luna wouldn't care about anything related to me, but Mason would certainly think I was ridiculous. Yes, my first half of life was so absurd, so laughable. And the rest of my life, even that absurdity and ridiculousness, became a delusion.